Artlist.io.
Hey, and welcome, folks. It is episode 3. So, diving in. Wow, the music just faded too quickly. My fault. Let's be real, though. If you grew up with the saying, do as I say, not as I do, you were handed a big pile of emotional confusion. Just crap, all over your feelings, all over what you're thinking and how you should be, just all kind of like mixed in because we are young people who are trying to find out the world, and we trust these adults who has been tasked with the responsibility of raising us. And it doesn't even matter if it's like your parents, your grandparents, your caregivers, whoever raised you. They were tasked with a way to help you navigate life, and throughout all that, it is part of it is also learning about boundaries. And this is what today's episode will be a little bit about. Welcome back to Friends with Boundaries, the podcast where we protect our peace, drop apologizing for having a backbone, and just taking one yes at a time. My name is Chris Chung, and today we're going to be talking about the emotional scripts that shaped us, who taught us how to think, feel, and how those influence a lot of our ability to set boundaries and be familiar, be okay with boundaries. So I'll start off by giving a quick analogy. We have two young people. Carson, who is Mr. Obedient, perfect in all the things that the family wants for him, the parents want for him, but deep down inside, quite emotionally paralyzed when he has to make big choices in life. And then we have Jenny, the golden child with a get out of jail free card because, she's studious. She is able to, do well in class, and even people outside of the home loves her. But both of these characters, despite being these ideal children, are, set up for failure in life if the caregivers didn't provide with them with the emotional boundary lessons. And even thinking about my own history, right? When I grew up, there was no actual discussion, like a really a direct communication about this is what boundaries are, this is how you should navigate the world around you. No, we learned that through experiences mostly, right? You absorb the boundaries from your family of origin, and to be fair, they probably learned it from their own family and from their society, from their culture, and it became something that they passed down on. We see a lot of this boundary thing, boundary elements being pushed back, or maybe it's most apparent during the teenage phase in the United States or maybe other Western countries as well, where individualist societies really do understand that the kids are exploring a different identity. It's part of just growing up and being able to try out different style, different values, and ultimately, if the family provided them a safe and welcoming environment and also displayed good values, they will take a big chunk of that and continue living life. Whereas for those who really come into a lot more conflict, right, about values, they sense that, my family has taught me one way, but I've seen the outside world and they live a different way, and I rather have that. And a lot of times that could just be a learning about values and learning about behaviors, what is appropriate, what is not appropriate, can be stifling. I know I go a little bit convoluted, so let me kind of build this from the ground up. We're going to explore a little bit of childhood. It's one of my favorite things to do, mind you. Tell me about your childhood. And there is a purpose for that. It's where I learned how people learn to communicate, people learn to express themselves or not express themselves, right? And ultimately, all of this is communicating to us our yes and no's, our physical, emotional, mental boundaries. Kids learn from watching adults, not listening to them, and not just following this set of rules. I personally didn't believe in the phrase "do as I say, not as I do." That's complete garbage for me. It really does nothing but confuse the child when you see an adult able to get their way and not getting the consequences. Whereas if they do it, the adults will chastise them, punish them, or just throw this phrase out. And what kids will learn eventually is that, okay, when I become bigger, when I have power, when I demand respect as an adult, I can do whatever I want and I can get away with it. As a child, I just have to listen and be obedient. It's kind of an idealistic thinking, and I do think that my heritage, my Asian culture, has a lot to do with it, but it's unhelpful. So a quick example: if a member of my family often would dodge spam calls back in the days, there's a lot of people who are asking for the home of the resident, and I watched this family member tell their child to lie to them. But on the other end, once that phone call is over, lying is wrong, but this is in this situation, it's okay. It's a white lie. All these kind of phrases. What is that setup? What is that modeling? Again, it comes back to when it's convenient for me, I can do what typically is wrong. And mind you, my family grew up with, the 10 Commandments from the Bible, if you will. Do not lie is one of them. And it gets super, super confusing when you see adults just not abide by that. So, what are other examples? What are other examples of confusing statements? Parents who demand honesty but punish truth, right? Those who tell you, okay, just tell me the truth and you will, everything will go easier for you, but yet you feel a punishment incoming. Or caregivers who talk about trust but then violate privacy, right? You have to trust me. You have to trust that the things that I set up for you are good, but then they go back and try to pry into your personal life, go into your, today they don't have much of a diary, but maybe they ask your friends, or they talk around the teachers about how, I guess that's a poor example because they should talk to teachers, but they don't give you the room to even develop a trust for them, because every action is criticized, it's put under a microscope. And then there is also the last example: adults who scream "be kind" while humiliating their kids. Have you ever seen that? Right? You should be kind to Johnny. Are you out of your mind? And complete, confusion in displaying what they're trying to teach. And a lot of adults don't really take accountability for that. And to be fair, for the most part, they themselves probably learned that from watching the society in which they grew up in, where adults who are given so much freedom, so much authority, and able to bend the rules to their will. And kids, when they grow up, hey, I'm telling you right now, as a child that has some of that, I have a loving family. I really do. And yet these are some of the messages that come across and put in some doubts in my trust in them. And they're not giving me any reasons to not love them or to separate from them. But it does put in the back of your mind, hey, I probably won't be as fully honest and open because of some of the things that we modeled in the past. Now, what does that teach us? Family and caregivers, your family of origin, provides this framework for you to think about how relationships ought to operate, right? And sometimes you may see some of the values come out. You keep certain things from your spouse because it's you don't want to rock the boat, right? Or you are to appear very clean, very poised, well collected outside, and never let them know what's happening on the inside of your home. Why not talk about consistency? Why not talk about honesty, being authentic? None of that was part of the conversation. It's all about appearance in the way I grew up. And so the message from "do as I say, not as I do" really reflects on the boundary that I don't show the outside world, don't be authentic, live in two different worlds. All right. So coming back to our example, Carson, the child who's raised to perform, to please, to execute, he doesn't know how to express his needs, only to obey. Now, great child, right, for any parents, because they will do what the parents are telling him to do and follow through, and just really, when I think about Carson, the first word that comes to mind, helicopter parents. They don't allow the child to make any mistakes. They really pave the way for the child in setting up their future. And yet somehow by the time they finish whatever education level, and I'm guessing for poor Carson, undergrad is not enough. It's going to be a grad school. After that, suddenly they are considered fully autonomy, right? Fully autonomic. Studying on my word, but fully capable of being independent. But what are the traits that are learned in this environment? They have a harder time improvising. They have a confused routine with morality, right? Someone who adheres to the way that things are done, textbook like, equates deviation with disrespect. Anything that does not abide by rules, a set of subjective rules, which was presented to your child as hard and fast objective rules, are seen as a violation or something that's gone wrong or disrespect. And they are missing out on a lot of joy and the messiness of life. And relationships will be very linear in a lot of ways. That's kind of the potential outcomes that I'm often seeing in clients like Carson. Because of the parents' over involvement and the family's over involvement and super planning for his life, he didn't develop much of a sense of self, as he developed a user manual for survival, or he might need one. So let's talk about the other child, Jenny. Jenny grew up with love, but no accountability. Very permissive parents, if you will, sort of some of the traits. Her parents cared deeply, but they didn't follow through on a lot of the rules or expectations, because the parents and the family fear that might damage this child's self-esteem, or that, saying no and seeing a child throw a tantrum or cry or in distress really is something that the parents are incapable or unwilling to handle in an appropriate manner. So she learned, cry hard, resist loud, someone will clean it up for you, right? You get your way as long as the other people are able to tolerate your tantrums, your emotions. So some of the traits that Jenny might have developed, I call it selective hearing, but mainly just wanting to hear things that makes her feel righteous, justified, and positive about self. There is still a deep inherent fear of consequence, but it's really behaviorally it's mild at best. Maybe she'll learn that those who set real good boundaries, or those who are healthy boundaries, she'll be fearful that her actions might cause a rift in that kind of relationship, but it doesn't stop her to think about it, and she'll probably repeat the same violation of your boundaries for sure. Parents, I'm not saying the parents are not doing anything. This is the cycle that I'm definitely seeing in Jenny. Parents lecture, then they rescue them out of whatever issues that the child finds themselves in, and then the cycle repeats itself. Finally, the trait that they'll probably develop is the emotional manipulation. Not so much because the parents wanted to teach Jenny how to be manipulative, but because it worked. It's something that using certain big emotions can get Jenny what she needs. Escape from accountability, escape from, the task, or be rewarded by whatever she needs. So Jenny develops a superpower turning guilt into currency. And this takes two to tango, right? I'm often putting like parents as part of that big contributor to how people develop these abilities of and really unhealthy boundaries in later life. And yet, to be empathetic, to be very much understanding, parents themselves probably receive that from someone else. And these unhealthy patterns, these unhealthy ways of connection continues to persist, continues to be passed down. And, you know, uh, it doesn't bode well for being authentic. It doesn't bode well for being able to put your foot down and saying yes to one request at a time or saying no. And, for certain, I'm still unraveling a lot of what my childhood can have influence in the way that I create, set, and adhere to boundaries or not. And if this is something that um, speaks to you, or maybe it reminds you of someone that you know of that could benefit from really reflecting on their childhood and questioning where their boundaries, where their source, where their values come from. A great book out there is called Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents by Lindsay Gibson. This is one raw and validating and game-changing book for myself, and it comes with some worksheet which I will attach in the show notes for you all to even take the quiz or take the assessment and see what area, right? My parents are far from someone that would be characterized as emotionally immature, and yet there are some elements that help me think through and really think about my own journey in understanding myself and developing emotional challenges and becoming friends with boundaries. So if you see yourself today in Carson or Jenny, or see someone else in them, please share this episode. If someone's trying to unlearn emotional chaos right now, send this episode their way. Please follow, subscribe, and leave a review. I'd love to hear from you all what kind of topics and how I can make this show better and have a dialogue of boundaries with you, because I want to be that friend for you to build boundaries, to build up boundaries or make changes in your life so that you can become emotionally healthy for yourself, for your partners, for your family, for your work environments, and absolutely for yourself, most importantly. So come over, say hi on the Instagram, Friends with Boundary. So at Friends with Boundary, all one word, lowercase. I try to post some quick shorts, quick thoughts on there sometimes. And if you have something that really resonate with you, a topic in mind that we can explore together, please contact me at the email friendswithboundary@gmail.com. All of these can be found in the show notes as well. So to kind of end today, a quick, boundary quote for you. Let me put on the music a little bit. Okay, there we go. Our parents may not have shown you how to hold a boundary, but you get to do it now. You are not here to blame, you are here to become. That's boundary.